Thanks for tuning in to watch. I'm Ruby Glasspool, an evolutionary astrologer, and this is a video about the wholeness of the signs. So, in astrology, you've got 12 signs of the zodiac, and they operate on an axis. So, you've got 6 pairs of signs. Aries, Libra, Aquarius, Leo, they have their direct oppositions. And there's wisdom and learning in those oppositions in terms of our growth and our evolution. So, in a way, they are suggestive of dualism. And I know in many spiritual teachings that dualism is said to be something to transcend or move away from. But actually, the wisdom is far deeper than that. And with astrology in particular, dualism is actually a pathway to wholeness and a pathway to enlightenment and growth, if you like. And so, like we have the axes of the 6 pairs of the signs, within each of the 12 signs on their own, there is also dualism in the fact that they can be expressed as light or dark, as good or bad. Maybe those terms are a bit too extreme, but it gives us the right idea that there can be a positive, light, good expression of that sign, and there can also be the darker shades and the shadow side of the expression of that sign. And this is what creates dualism. And again, in many spiritual teachings, we are taught that we have to keep aiming for the light, keep aiming for the positive and the good. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's a good virtue to have. But if we are missing out the shadow sides, if we are missing out the darkness, the shadow sides of our human natures, basically, and the signs, then we are missing one part of the whole picture. In fact, we're missing half of the whole picture. And so where dualism teaches us, oh, we should be avoiding that and we should be aiming towards the light and the goodness only, if we are not acknowledging or expressing the shadow sides of the signs and of our human natures, then we are not whole. Wholeness, the clue is in the word. Wholeness includes everything. It includes all of it. That is the meaning of wholeness. Nobody says that wholeness is wholly beautiful and wholly perfect and wholly light. That wholeness has to include what is very obviously in life and in our human natures. There is always suffering. There is always darkness. There is always difficulty. And that is part of that picture of wholeness. So if we avoid that and suppress that or try to get away from it, then we are not achieving wholeness. We're achieving half-ness. And that's half of the picture. So I've put together a list of the 12 star signs. And on one side of the list is essentially the light, higher, positive, good expression of the sign, the original meaningful motivation and drive of the sign. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I've included some keywords that are associated with the shadow side of that sign. So I'm going to run through the 12 signs and give the light, high vibratory, let's call it, expression of that sign. And I'm also then going to give the shadow side, the shadow expression of that sign. And this is in no way to create a feeling of I should be aiming towards the good light expression of it and I should be avoiding the shadow expression of it. The purpose of this list and the purpose of this video is so that for each sign we can identify what that shadow element of it might be, and therefore we can acknowledge it and understand it and accept it and integrate it into our sense of wholeness. It's not about rejecting it. I'm not saying that we should be aiming for 50% expression of the shadow and 50% expression of the light. All I'm saying in this video and in my teachings is that we should be embracing and acknowledging the shadow side. Doesn't mean that we have to act it out, but it does mean that it needs to be understood, embraced, and acknowledged so that we can have a complete picture of ourselves. So what might be useful is to follow this list and think of what sign your sun, moon, and rising is in, because they are the primal triad, the top three, and to identify those three signs and see if you can feel your way into the dual expressions of those three signs and see if they resonate with you. But the idea here is to incorporate wholeness. If we try to push away the shadow side, pretend it doesn't exist, stuff it down in shame, which for some of them, especially Scorpio, is very easy because they are very taboo areas on the shadow sides of Scorpio, then it doesn't mean that we are those things, that we embody those things. It means we have the potential for those things. It doesn't mean it's going to be acted out, but the potential for the shadow side is there. But it needs acknowledging, and it needs accepting and integrating so that we can become whole and have a full, complete picture of who we are, but of what our inherent potentials are. And when it's acknowledged, it's balanced and it's healed, like the scales of Libra. When we acknowledge both sides, it is balanced and healed. The more we deny, stuff down, or push away the shadow sides of those signs, the more suffering that creates, because it creates resistance, and resistance creates suffering. So it's about opening up your awareness to those shadow sides and accepting them and integrating them into your whole sense of self in a healthy way. So let's start with Aries. I'm going to call these the light side and the shadow side, just for simplicity. But obviously, you know, it's more nuanced than this, but this just helps us get straight to the point, and I want the video to be reasonably short in length. So Aries, the light side, is the impulse towards survival, which is a good thing. Everyone needs and wants to survive. The shadow side is violence and selfishness. So when I mention the shadow side of each sign, we all have the potential to be and embody and express all of these things. It is a seed within all of us. And that is what suffering and life is trying to teach us by mirroring it to us. When we see somebody else committing an act of violence or selfishness, and we believe it's not part of us, and we shame them for it, or we judge them for it, actually, it is part of us. The seed of potentiality is within us for all of the shadow sides of the signs. And when we truly acknowledge that and embrace that and integrate it into our being without judgment, then we start to become truly whole. So Taurus, the light side, is the impulse towards security, safety, and stability. This need to have stable ground beneath our feet in order to live comfortably. And the shadow side is greed and over-attachment. With Gemini, the light side is the impulse towards understanding. I'd like to gather as much information as possible and make sense of the world around me. And the shadow side of that is ignorance, pure ignorance, that we do not know what we need to know. Then the light side of Cancer is the impulse towards belonging and emotional safety. And the shadow side is neediness and weakness. The light side of Leo is the impulse towards authentic expression and then recognition of that expression. And the shadow side of Leo is self-centeredness and being very egotistical. And the light side of Virgo is the impulse towards usefulness and worthiness. And the shadow side is inadequacy, a feeling of a lack of self-worth, lack of self-esteem, basic feeling of inadequacy, not being good enough. Libra, the light side, is the impulse towards acceptance and being liked. We now need to build relationships, and it would be nice to be liked and accepted. The shadow side of Libra is narcissism. The light side of Scorpio is intimacy and intensity, living life on the edge and allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to be truly, authentically, deeply intimate with other people. And the shadow side of Scorpio is obsession and various shades of shame. And Sagittarius, the light side of Sagittarius, is the impulse towards knowledge and meaning, seeking meaning and purpose in order to live a thriving life. And the shadow side of Sagittarius is the expression of arrogance. The light side of Capricorn is achievement, success, true worthy achievement with self-integrity, making something of your life, in other words. And the shadow side of Capricorn is power and control, the desire underneath to control others and to have ultimate power over them and over life. Aquarius, the light side, is individuation, truly individuating from the herd and becoming true to oneself. And the shadow side of Aquarius, very simply, is madness. Pisces, the light side of Pisces, is surrender, deep release and surrender, a letting go to the flow of life. And the dark side, or the shadow side of Pisces, is simply helplessness, not being able to feel as though you can help yourself, and a sense of simply giving up. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found that helpful. Apply it to your sun, moon and rising. And when you're comfortable with those, start applying it to the other planets. Planets are parts of your psyche, and you can start to get a feel for those different parts of your psyche and what light side and shadow side, let's say, are those parts of your psyche working with in terms of trying to balance them and integrate the whole picture in those parts of your psyche. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the content. Thank you.